school for all of my primary and secondary schooling. My favourite subjects include maths and science, but like most Year 12s, assignment deadlines and exams have made school less enjoyable. But I am looking forward to the completion of my secondary education. I'm passionate about the environment and I'm keen to travel and explore new places when I leave school. Overall, Ulsh has been a positive experience, especially during my formative years at Bar Street, where the atmosphere was fun and nurturing. As with all school environments, life at Ulsh has not always been perfect, but undoubtedly, this has enabled me to develop the life skills through resilience and perseverance.
Okay, so my experience in Ulsh has been fun actually, but it's not just filled with ups, it's also filled with downs as well, because I came here in 2016 and I barely knew any single English. The only words I knew were yes and no. Yes, so anyway, but it's been fun because I got to know these people sitting here with me today, and I've been in that school for more than 9 years now. My favorite subject is psychology. I'm planning on becoming a psychologist. My passion is helping people, and my hobby is singing. So.
My favourite thing about Ulsh is, as people mentioned, is the fact that it goes from transition to Year 12, and that a lot of
transition.
It's like prep, like
Prep.
you know,
How
before
old are you in transition?
4 or 5.
4 or 5?
5, 6, yeah. It depends on whose parents put you on, I guess.
Yep.
I think that it's a really unique environment, and myself, Holly, and Patty are like collegians, meaning we've been our school for like 13 years.
Okay.
And I think we've got quite a large percentage in our cohort that are collegians, and it's really like a good environment to be able to grow up so closely with your cohort and the kids that you've grown up with, and to just see how they've changed over the years, and it creates a very a comfortable environment in the classroom, which is really good.
I think for me it's probably time management. Coming from a country where the education was so different, it was mostly study and test, and then coming here it's quite assignment based, and having to juggle that, and as well having part-time jobs and extracurricular activities was a bit of a challenge. But I think Ulsh does a good job in helping us to manage all of that, to learn that skill of time management, which I think is very important. So.
Well, our experience is quite similar to what I know where a lot of you guys come from, and so we've actually had issues with teachers. So last year we did chemistry online, which I found it quite difficult because the online generic is very, very different. And this semester as well, we've had to go online for physics. So we're doing chemistry in person this year, so I mean that was an upside, but then we lost our physics teacher, so we're back to online. And physics is very hard, but you work with what you got. And the teacher we have online is amazing. She's lovely, but yeah, as I said, it's just the online dynamic, which I think has made Year 12 a lot more harder.
So I was born to a Christian family, upraised at a Baptist church, I think. Yeah. A while back, and then and so here in Alice Springs, I now attend a Pentecostal church, and so part of that is I really feel like my soul just comes alive when I'm surrounded by fellow believers, when I'm in that just God space where I'm hanging out with friends of mine. And we're just doing stuff that we enjoy in a Christian godly kind of setting, and then also just being out in nature, observing and seeing the beauty of His creation, and seeing how this God that we serve is so great and so mighty, and how He built all of this to the smallest thing and the most minute detail for us as humans to observe. And then for And part of that also isn't just going back to what I said before about being surrounded by fellow believers. Part of that isn't only just being surrounded by like Pentecostal followers, it's also being in this Mars school community, which I have the joy of being a part of, where even though, like, for example, they're completely different like denominations, and they have a few different beliefs on a few tiny bits and pieces. I'm reminded of an old pastor of mine from back in Dubbo. He used this analogy where he said all gospel, all theology, all scripture can be classed as two areas, either in being held in a closed hand or being held on an open hand. And so those things which we hold in a closed hand are things that I feel like probably all of us can relate to, that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. He died on the cross, rose again 3 days later, and he is the only way for us to have eternal life with God. So all of us, I feel like I can say in this room, all hold this in a closed hand. We hold it dear to our hearts. And then all of the other smaller things that the different denominations across the planet might believe in, that can all be held on an open hand, where it doesn't necessarily matter as much if those beliefs aren't held as close, because fundamentally we still serve the same God. So I feel like being in a Mars community it's just a nice place and a great place where you can just feel enlivened and where everyone is just uplifting you.
Question about faith. Nah, that's my favorite topic. So, okay, so I was Catholic, born and raised. My faith, I do believe in God and Jesus and all, and I believe in evil and good. But I also believe that we all have our own beliefs and stuff. So yeah. What led me closer to God was in 2019. My mom had a ruptured aneurysm and stuff like that. So, belief questioned and stuff like that, losing my faith and saying, oh, maybe God isn't real anymore and stuff like that. But then I was like, if he's not real, then how come my mom is still alive and sitting with us right now and like still talking to me? So I said to myself, okay, yeah, God is real. I'm just gonna keep my faith, keep living and stuff like that. And I guess being in a Mars community actually helps with that, because they taught me that my faith is important as much as my physical health. So being in a Mars community is the best thing that's ever happened to my life.
Well, it's no lie that we've had a lot of media coverage. A lot of it are not the best. We've made it actually to like international news. Apparently we got on the news in Singapore, which I don't know how that happened, but life in Alice Springs, as I said before, my family moved away and came back. Mostly for job opportunities, but also because we personally just love the community in Alice Springs. It offers such a wide range of opportunities for people. I mean, as I was like researching how to answer this question, I came across about like all the different things that we do in Alice Springs. We have our annual beanie festival, we have the Think Desert Race, which brings in a lot of people. We have our Hajj Light Festival, which is like, in the desert at the desert park, and like, we have like the lights illuminating the ranges, which is beautiful. I think that one of the things that makes like me quite upset when hearing like the news about Alice Springs is the fact that people are very quick to judge and report on it, but no one really wants to like kind of answer like how we can fix it. It's all very like this is a problem, like but it's never like what can we actually do to help that problem. I think it is very ignorant to. There are some people that say that there are no problems in Alice Springs and that this is just a rough patch, but it's ignorant to not say that there are problems, because there are, and they do affect us. I know like they affected me and other people, and it's something that we do have to live with. But I do think that our school personally is a good environment and kind of not shelters us, but keeps us safe and yeah.
It's been very hard to see Alice in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Without a doubt, there are plenty of reasons for the poor news coverage. With our home recently broken into and ransacked while we're on Christmas holidays and our push lights stolen on multiple occasions, I can attest to the distress that it has caused my family. But like any town, the minority spoil it for the majority. Beyond the media's coverage of crime, Alice Springs is a beautiful town. With a strong Indigenous heritage and early pioneers who built the telegraph station and Gann Railway, with the books like A Town Like Alice, Alice Springs is the soulful centre of the Australian identity. If the media were here, I would remind them not to just focus on the negativity of crime, but instead look at our example of an amazingly diverse population living in some of the most inspiring landscapes in all of Australia.
So when I finish school, I'm looking at having a gap year here. I have a part-time job at the hospital, which I'm really blessed to have, and I'm going to work there for next year. And then after that, I'm looking at going down to Adelaide to study biomedical science. And my reasoning for biomedical science is because May last year, I was actually diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which is it's an autoimmune disease, which basically my body can't produce insulin and I've got to do injections. I'm actually on a pump, which I'm also really blessed for. But yeah, and I just want to do something biomedical science so I can, help people. Not necessarily just in that area, but just, looking at immunity and why our bodies do the things they do, because it impacted me a lot. And I know, especially in year 11, it was not a fun thing to deal with. But yeah, I'm looking at doing that.
I'm at the minute still deciding on my future aspirations. I'm tossing up between a gap year for next year or heading off to uni. Uni will be either after the gap year or not, we'll see. But I'm looking to do science or medicine, and probably in Victoria, so I might see a few people down there perhaps.
So I plan on taking a gap year.
These gap years are pretty popular.
They are, yes. Part of that is to help start financing myself to get through uni.
Yep.
So I plan on heading south. My main idea at the moment is probably going to Flinders University to get a degree with potentially a master's in biomedical engineering. I want to do that because I've always had a passion for maths and science and problem solving and fixing things, and I want to be able to do that in a really meaningful way where I can potentially touch the lives of people who are facing issues. So part of that is I hope to potentially go into prosthetics and things like that to help people who've suffered traumatic injuries or have just been born with deformities and things like that, to help them potentially have get back a bit of the life that they might have missed out on or had taken away from them.
After school, I'm taking a gap year. I also have a job at the hospital in Holly, so just trying to save money because it's hard out here right now. And after that, I want to go to university in Sydney, probably UCIT or UTS, and do possibly science, physics, probably. Probably a double degree though. We'll see though.
I think for the longest time I've avoided this question of what I wanted to do in life. I think every time an adult would ask me, it would just be, I'm just going to do something medicine related. But in the past 2 years, I have come to the conclusion that I probably will do pharmacy or paramedicine. So that's the answer to the popular question, guys.
Audrey, I've been avoiding the same question of what I want to do after school. But I have finally come up to a conclusion. So after school, I'm going to take the gap year. But
There's a business opportunity.
But so in this gap year, I'm not just planning on working, but I'm also planning on becoming a youth ministry. So I'm planning on becoming a youth leader for Darwin. I've been to many youth camps and stuff like that, and I'm like just so inspired as to what they do, and like want to inspire more people like they did as well.
And I think my advice would be, I know it's a bit different because a lot of your schools only start from year 7, but I think it's really important connecting the younger grades to older ones. Because I know for us, some of the best memories I have is when we hang out with the transition kids or the kids up Bar Street, because it just brings a strong sense of community, and I just love it so much. And I think it's important for a school to maybe year 7s hang out with year 12s, like every now and again. It's just a nice thing to connect with the younger grades, and I think it makes them feel a lot better too. Because obviously high school, and I know some of your schools are like 2,000 kids.
There's a few big ones.
Yeah, so it's very scary going to a school with that many people.
After considering your question, it is my opinion that schools should overwhelmingly focus on respect. As a spectator to the current polarised political climate, I believe that principals, teachers, senior education and support staff should be mindful of indoctrinating students in their own agendas and beliefs. Education should always encourage respectful debate, fact sourcing, listening and open-minded reflection, in which students formulate their own insightful beliefs as young people. And even if those opinions do not align with your own, they should be respected. As the future generation of Australia, respect is the key to building a cohesively progressive, vibrant, free-speaking and democratic country.
So then what I want to leave with each and every one of you is just to remind you that try to help us young people. We kind of show it in a weird way and we don't always listen, but we are the next generation and we need all the help that we can get. So any advice that you can give to us, any bits and pieces that you've learned along the way, any mistakes that you've learned from, you can kind of pass on to us so that way our generation doesn't make the same mistakes your generation has, so that we as a society can just keep moving forward. I'm not thinking of anything specifically there, but just...
Oh, I think you are.
And my advice, I'm going to agree with Holly. I think family spirit is such an important aspect of our Morris community. I think that sometimes we don't use every opportunity that we probably should. I think that building communities is really important for the well-being of students, and getting not advice from just teachers but also from older students is such a great thing.
And I think one piece of advice I would love to give is for schools to encourage parent engagement and involvement as well. I think just like what Sam said, as students we like to think that we know better, and many times we don't. We would really, really love support from parents, teachers, and even just when we're going through with mental health and everything, I think it would just be best for our parents to know. I think they have our best interests in heart, and I just advocate for parent engagement.
Great, thanks, Audrey.
As to what I would advise you all is probably just engage with other schools more, because our values are what solidarity, family spirit, and all that jazz. But we want to see more of like other school engagements within less popular schools like Alice Springs, like Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. We want to know like what other schools can offer and stuff like that as well, and like how we can be family within the Marceline, community. And yeah, just keep being yourself. And also love your students.
Wow. What a way to end. Unbelievable.